Okay, all right. Hey, I'm gonna read
Go
your
ahead.
mind.
Are we gonna read
Yes.
mine immediately? Yeah. Okay. So upon entering Tyrion's mind, what you kind of see there is sort of the first thing you see, just like the surface thoughts. There's him like, "What's going on? How the hell are we? Are we?" And if you go a little bit kind of deeper, there is sort of this recurring thought in his head that's going on in circles, and it's like, did I do the right thing back home? Did I do the right thing? 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 It's like that in a continuous cycle. Um, and there's definitely you can feel there's some conflict in him in his mind right now. Do you go deeper?
Yes. Always.
Yeah. Oh, so
I,
in there
I'm,
is
yeah, I'm trying to get everything.
yeah
So that
yeah.
was
Yeah, so there's sort of like so there's the first thing you kind of see is there's this young boy like you saw him in the body of a young boy and he's sort of sitting over no, not sitting he's standing over a table um, sort of near it and there's two people talking. There is a man with long kind of blonde hair, maybe a little bit whitish, you can see some of the tips are going. He is finely dressed man, maybe someone of like high class, and he's speaking to another man of a similar not descent but class also, noble person, beard, short-cut hair, and they're talking about something while they're having tea, and the boy just like standing there like handing them like a teacup, like a tea each, and then sort of jump cuts to what seems to be again tied up this time to a post, a wooden post, and there is the you can feel like these hot like sharp strikes on the back, and it continues on and on and on and on, and there is this voice of a man speaking in a fluent language saying, Tyrion, you know what you did wrong. Say it, and the lashes will go. Say what you've done wrong, young one. Say. And they continue on, and then this time jump cuts to the boy is now older, the adult. You're in an adult body now, and he's cleaning this man now with a sponge, just cleaning him up in the bath, and he kind of continues doing this, and the man says something. You know, your father was a trophy, a good pickup. And that moment, he sort of, as he's cleaning, he sort of stops, but the sponge nearby pulls out a knife and cuts his throat. And that's sort of,
nice.
and that's where it's sort of, it's like, it ends there.
All right. How do I bring this up without being awkward? I don't think there's a way.
Dude,
You don't.
I,
That's the answer.
I think Tyrion's just sitting at the bar, right, and he's just like he's looking at himself, and you do notice he has like these like he has scarred arms
hmm
from what you could see on him, and he's just sitting at the bar like looking around.
Luke will sit next to him and be like, so everything okay?
I don't know, jumping to another world and just popping out of nowhere. Sounds like something from a novel story.
Yeah, it actually happened to us too. We went to a space place. It was kind of cool. It wasn't Star Wars. Remember, I talked about that on the ride. But
Some fictional world of a boy saving a princess or whatever. Like
yeah, and he ended up being his father. Yeah, you listened well.
it was bits and
So
pieces, sound unrealistic, but whatever.
how'd you get those scars?
He looks at them. He kind of looks at the scars. You sure you want to know?
Yeah.
Whip scars. I did. My master beat me after I did some bad things. To his view.
What was it?
Oh, simple things. Dropped a teacup once. Dropped a painting. Maybe I didn't fall in order here and there. Minor stuff. Got those.
Yeah,
Got more of them.
that was very unfortunate. What did he mean if you just admit? I mean, how do you get him to stop?
Well, I tell him that I knew what I did wrong. Paul, I say, Master, I know I did the wrong thing, and I should be punished for it. And he'd go on for a bit, and then he'll stop. Forces me to clean if I left any blood, and then I'd be going to my room and sleep without any more rations.
I mean, I don't know when I'll get to see you again, so I think I'm just gonna ask, how did it feel when you killed him?
How the hell do you even know that?
Uh, I have a special kind of magic.
That what, you get to know someone just by looking at them?
More or less.
Well, doing it, I felt, I don't know, relieved at first, and then guilt.
Why guilt? He was so bad to you.
Because I didn't want to kill him. I wanted him to be in prison, maybe tranquility. It's something that he'll pay for. And my emotions got in the way, and then if you know about it, then yeah.
Is that why you keep thinking to yourself, did I do the right thing?
I think so. It's when you've been born with a life stuck into one specific path, and you've got and you've only learned that one thing, and it all just crashes down because you did something. Brings many questions. I believed in freedom. I believe that and those who suffered a lot should be given some level of freedom. To not suffer from men like my master. But when you have too much freedom, well, it can go over your head.
Yeah, freedom. We discovered that being free isn't always easy as well. My aunts and uncles had to do a lot of bad things to save this world.
We all got to do bad things to do good things, huh? That's how they
Yeah,
say.
that's true. Somebody once told me you're always going to be the villain in somebody's story.
Yeah, well, there's an entire people back in our world where they're probably looking at me as a villain.
But I've only seen you do good things. You're a healer. You protect. You keep your people alive.
Sure, I'm a doctor, but after that whole event, I'm not sure. I do want to do good, but when you stained your hand with blood like that, it's difficult. I mean, when we're done, when we've done with our job pretty much, I probably will go back and give myself to the authorities and let them decide what my fate will be.
Well, to me, it sounds like this memory hunts you, and my magic is very strong. I can get rid of this memory for you.
What good will that do?
You could live your life without the guilt.
Unfortunately, this is the life I have. Without him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be with them. I'd just be a wandering man with nothing much in his mind, trying to do the good.
A lot of people take me up on the offer to get rid of bad memories, but I think it's strong of you to let these memories stay and drive you.
A friend of mine agreed with her that it's an obsession. to think about this. But what you also did say, it's made me what I am now.
From what I've seen, you're a good person who did a bad thing. Sometimes good people do bad things.
Maybe. That just... The only thing I feel bad is I think I just lived a lie for most of my life.
What lie is that?
That people get to deserve freedom when they don't suffer.
Well, as long as you're here, the offer stands. I can change it for you.
He chuckles. I'll think about it. Just don't expect a yes.
I can make you say yes.
That
was a joke. That was a joke. Well, I could actually make you say yes, but I'm joking about making you say yes.
Okay, alright, because otherwise we would have a little chat as he puts his hand together like a crack of knuckles. Does a woman over there, the bartender, serve any drinks over here? I think I need some water.
Yes, let me go get you some water. I go get a sub vodka.
Nice. You get yourself some vodka. Tyrion,
Yes.
I mean, I think you can. You're a doctor. You can tell before you put it up to your lips. This isn't water.
This isn't water. Yeah.
Do you react at all?
He just looks at it. Oh. Wait a
That's
minute.
the only water we have here. If you want to stay hydrated, that's all we got. Nothing else.
Is this really water?
The Russians think it's water.
He just looks confused. Like, this doesn't taste like water. This tastes
In
like...
Russia, it's water. I promise.
He's gonna incite you even though he's like, no, perception.
19.
Okay.
For my rules.
Yeah, that's so he's just gonna look at his drink and he's gonna take a sip of it.
Okay. What do you think how will he react to alcohol?
I mean, he's drank wine before, so it's like this is odd. Tastes like it's not wine, not ale.
It's up to you. Do you like it or do you not like it? It's up to you.
Well, he'll just drink more. He'll just drink a little bit more. He's gonna.
All right.
It's Russian water. He drinks it.
Roll a Constitution stamina, Tyrion, and while you're doing that, let's set up the next scene.
Yes, I'm sorry. What was your name? This is all just a little too jarring.
Oh, hi. I'm Luke.
Name's Rousseau.
Oh yeah, I actually know you. You're in the fanfic that Toby wrote. You're actually my favorite character. Don't tell anybody.
On what grounds? I'm just curious.
Oh, you're the love for your son. I don't know. Oh, you wouldn't know actually, but my dad was actually pretty popular here and then he died before I even got to meet him. So I'd like to think that if I met him, he'd be a great dad like you.
Oh. Well, sorry to hear that. I guess it's good food for thought.
Yeah, it used to be really hard, but Al and Juan and Rox really have helped me through, losing my father. But it doesn't really get easier.
No, those things tend not to. They just kind of sit with you and you figure out a way to deal with it.
Yeah, I've dealt with it with not very good ways, but at least, working on that.
Well, I mean, count yourself lucky. I kind of have to socialize the person that unknowingly helped get rid of one of my parents.
Yeah, that, wait, what?
Yeah, Daretham, before he had his mind back, he kind of killed my mom.
Really? That's not in the book.
How far along is the book written?
It kind of starts a little bit before you guys go to like a circus, and then it ends right there.
Oh, okay, that
It was kind of just you guys meeting up.
That kind of happened well before the circus.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, Toby never wrote anything that dark in his books.
Yeah, I about choked him to death when I found out.
Well, thankfully for him, you did it.
No, I was able to realize that he had no real control, and we slowly worked it out, but, the one fellow you just chatted with, Tyrion, how's he doing?
Oh yeah, he's I mean, he knows I read his mind, but it's a dark place in there that he's dealing with a lot of stuff that I don't even know if he's said to people yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume this isn't a reality here, given how far advanced everything is, but, Tyrion back in his home of Tevinter was a slave.
Yeah, we don't. There was like this huge war where everybody wanted Muggles to be slaves and all that, but Harry Potter kind of stopped that. So, but yeah, we don't really have slavery here anymore. There used to be like house elves that were slaves.
Oh.
But they weren't really slaves because they kind of just, lived there and did what they were told. But they like how I don't know. It's really confusing.
Well, progress is progress nonetheless, but, did he tell you what he did when he went back home?
Is that what he did to the guy in the tub?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, he didn't tell me it, but I saw it, like, as if it was happening right in front of me.
Sorry you had to see that, but, I'm just worried about the weight it's gonna have on him for the remainder.
I worried about that, too. I offered to remove the memory from his head so he'd never have to worry about it again, but he insisted it's what makes him him, so he wanted to keep it.
No, I'm glad they held on to it. It's just what happened afterwards is what I'm worried will basically throw him over the edge.
What part was that?
Russell will just kind of gesture and point to the gash on his head. Kind of started a bit of a revolt.
What he did to his master started some sort of fight?
What he did obviously violated the laws of where he was, but the position he was gave others ideas that they didn't really have to sit quiet anymore. I did my best to play the middle ground, and I was about stoned to death.
Oh, so since he was a slave that stood up to his masters, other slaves felt like they could stand up to their masters.
Yeah, and the people who were already masters wanted blood.
Oh, yeah, that can cause a lot of problems. Can I ask why you stayed in the middle? You didn't feel like there was a right side?
I've kind of had an interesting development getting to where I am in life. I didn't really agree with a lot of what's been around me. My current spouse is a hex mage, so I never really agreed with a lot of the laws against magery. I'm a half-breed, so I understand the oppression that happened. But being a lost speaker, I also feel that what he did was ultimately in the wrong.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's a lot of feelings and emotions all rolled up in one. What's a hex mage?
They specialize in, oh god, I really haven't thought about it. Do you people have things like dream catchers and like weird things that leave lasting effects like curses?
Oh yeah, we have curses for sure.
Oh yeah, she specializes in like making and breaking curses.
Oh, like Roxana's brother.
Um.
He's what we call a curse breaker. So.
Oh. Okay. It's been a little exhausting playing the middle for everyone, and I'm just worried that it's gonna fall apart when we get to the end.
Well, all I can suggest is when it's time to not play the middle, pick the side you believe is right.
I'm just worried I won't believe any side.
Well, there's always a right side, right?
Not necessarily.
I guess the confusion for me is what sides are there to choose from for you?
It's about playing the battle between my heart and my mind.
Never mind. Yeah, I'm with you now that there's no right side for that. Most people who follow their hearts end up dead like my dad, and most people that follow their minds end up like me reading them.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you talking to Tyrion. I think that'll do him good.
I hope I was able to touch on some things. There was a lot of things in there that was very personal, and I didn't want to, bring up old hurt. I hope that things that I've done for him can help him in the future.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, could Pasha be trying to use the computer? And I imagine that maybe she somehow found her way to Google, and she's actually, I think maybe she's found like a charity organization that's, places with water shortages, and she's looking up, like, oh, there's a water, here are our solutions. And so she's like, purifying water with my slow typing. That's
Gotta remember that like everyone's magic now, so that probably isn't a problem anymore because we can just count.
fair. I think, hell, maybe it's like magic, like here are the magical solutions. She's still like looking like, how did they solve this here? What did they do?
There definitely seems to be a larger flux of magical solutions on the internet. Yes. I can also imagine, by the way, that Pasha probably doesn't understand the concept of double click. But fortunately, double clicking isn't a thing in the internet as much. But anyway, go ahead.
In that case, I'll say that Albion just kind of, not that he's like spying on her, but he looks over her shoulder and kind of is curious as to what she might be trying to Google. I imagine he's not the most tech savvy. I mean, he's probably learned as they went, but even since he grew up in a pureblood family, he didn't like grow up with it. But he kind of looks and he says, "You're quick study. You've found your way around that computer pretty quickly."
Well, it wasn't too hard. I don't really get this thing, whatever it is, but it gets the doodad around the thing, and that takes me to these places. It's not that hard.
He kind of chuckles and he'll point out maybe there's a trackpad as well. He'll say, well, if the doodad isn't working, he said he'll take her finger and kind of put it on the trackpad. You can always do this, and he'll drag it around.
As he's takes a hand and he's moving it, I think he can probably sense her energy kind of changes a little bit. There's a sadness that kind of comes over her. And she's looking dead ahead. She's not even looking at him out of the corner of her eye. And she says, I found him.
Found who? It looks like you're researching water purification.
I found the boy I was looking for all those years ago. I finally did it. And it didn't go necessarily as I thought it would, but it well, he was dead. He was a flesh puppet for a while. That was highly disturbing. But I found him, and he is safe. And I know you're not who I think you are, but you sound an awful lot like him. And I think he'd be very interested in knowing that. And I think when I go home, I will not be able to tell my friend my news. So I'm telling you, I apologize if that is strange, but you do sound an awful lot like my very dear friend.
Albion at this point, he's quiet and listening. He's not really sure what a lot of this means. He's kind of confused, but he'll take a seat beside her. I assume there's maybe a bar stool beside her, and even though she's kind of looking forward, his gaze is intent on her. He can definitely sense the pain, and he'll let out one of his typical deep Albion sighs and just say, "Well, I'm very sorry. It sounds like this is a very painful thing for you. And while I may not be your friend, I can at least offer an ear."
I am very grateful for that. Because when I go back, I won't remember my friend. I won't think to send him a letter or anything like that. And I would very much like to tell him that he has been a good friend. And I miss him. And he is very intelligent for a monkey. That's what I'd like to tell him.
A monkey? Your friend's a monkey?
No, it's an inside joke. The first time I ever met him, I said I wanted to speak to the organ grinder, not the monkey, and he said, "Well, I'm very intelligent for a monkey," and I'm sorry, you probably don't care.
He shakes his head. He says, "No, please don't think I don't care. I understand the loss of a friend. Maybe more than most, but just because I don't understand your whole story doesn't mean I don't care."
Thank you.
Now, water purification did you manage to find this on purpose, or did you happen to stumble down the wrong path of Google?
No. My people are suffering a water shortage. The water doesn't purify quite as well as it used to. We have to get it shipped over. I thought that maybe if I could find a solution here, I could bring that back to them. And it's a tad selfish. Save them, save myself. Something not too pleasant awaits me when I go back home.
Are you familiar with magic? It seems like your group should be, from what I know.
We are familiar with magic. Magic. My people aren't too fond of magic. We prefer more mundane means. Magic is so risky and prone to demons appearing out of nowhere. So, as I said, I'm finding lots of magical means, but I don't necessarily know if my people would trust them.
I see. Well, unfortunately, I'm not an expert in water. I do have someone who is more familiar with water. I wouldn't necessarily call him an expert in water purification, but anyways, I don't know. It's hard. I sense even here your struggle, wanting to help but not knowing how.
I could try taking all of it back and just seeing what my people make of it, but I don't necessarily know if they'd approve. I think they'd rather a concise answer.
Well, I don't know how much help I could be, but I am willing to help you research or even ask my fiance, Finn. And when he says fiance, it doesn't really roll off his tongue very naturally.
Yeah. Are you wearing a ring on your finger at the moment?
I think he'd be wearing, you said it was like a bracelet with the ring kind of. Yeah, he'd be wearing that, but no ring on a finger.
I will say that at that point, I'm going to say, especially since it says fiance, I think that Pasha would recognize that.
I think Pasha's eye, she first goes to his neck looking for a necklace, but then when she doesn't see that, she kind of scans for other jewelry, and then she sees the bracelet and she, congratulations, my dear.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming, he says.
Well, I hope you are happy together.
Oh, we are, he says. We definitely are. But I don't know. I wish there were more I could do to help you. But one thing I can say is, I've been in a position where we sometimes have to do risky things that maybe not everyone would approve of, but just trust your heart. I did some things I would have never thought I'd done, but in the end, I think I trusted what my heart said, and it didn't steer me wrong. And maybe the way I went about things wasn't perfect, but we can only do the best with what we're given. And you know your situation better than I.
I'm not entirely sure the Cune would agree. The Cune is not quite so forgiving of mistakes. Hence why I want to bring back a gift.
What kind of gift?
If I could solve our water problem, we would not be indebted to Ferelden. We could break our allegiance with them, for better or worse. And hopefully, if my gift can do that, I hope that I will not have to be reset upon returning.
Reset?
You see, the Cune doesn't like people leaving. It doesn't like... There are so many other thoughts and ideas out in the world, and when you return, you need to be re-educated. I have seen and done certain things which the Cune absolutely would not approve of as such. I will be... what would be what? I would say reset, returned to a blank slate. I will cease to exist. My personality will be stripped back. My memories erased. Does that make any sense?
When she says memories erased, there's probably a visible change in Al's demeanor, and he doesn't answer audibly. He just kind of nods his head, and you see his kind of gaze go off. He just kind of sits for a few seconds, and then finally he would say, "That makes a lot of sense, and I can't say I'd wish that for anyone." But he'll come back a little from the whole talk of the memories, and he'll say, "Well, perhaps I do have a few options that if you're interested, I could at least give you the opportunity to see if there are ways that you could solve some of the problems it seems that you've come across. The beauty about plants," he says, as a big smile appears on his face, "is that the magic of them isn't always obvious. It's a little hidden. So perhaps when you take this back with you, it'll solve the problem of your water crisis, he says. And he'll reach in his bag. I think he had a bag, kind of like a bag of holding almost.
Sure.
Like his bag.
Yes, he did. Like Hermione, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll reach in there and like pull out a couple little samples of some seeds and say, I don't know how large scale these will work, but if you germinate these in some water and give them lots of sunlight, they do have some purifying effects just magically through the roots, he says, and he'll hand her those.
Thank you. These, even if these only work slightly, you don't know what this would mean for my people. It thank you. And she's gonna store them very safely in her pack. And I think because again, Pasha always has biscuits. After a bit of rummaging, she pulls out like a couple of cookies and like hands them to you in exchange, just like, these are for you.
Thank you, he says as he kind of looks down at them, and he'll tuck them away for later. He'll say, like I said, I can't make any promises, but hopefully it's a start. Just give them lots of care, he says. You can't neglect plants. You have to tend to them daily. But I think if you get them to grow, this could lead to some options for you. Now, on the other hand, he says, you mentioned the memories. And again, you'll see that kind of sad look on his face. I'm not really one who likes to mess too much with memories, especially when it comes to memory magic. So with this, I caution you. But I found that some of the memory magic we've used isn't quite as dangerous as the others. I never recommend trying to alter memories or taking them away. I personally think the side effects and the downfalls way outweigh the pros. But I do have something that might help you at least store memories. Take them out temporarily until you're ready to have them again. And he'll pull out his portable pensive and he'll demonstrate with his wand kind of how it works and take the memory and kind of store it. And you'll see the silvery strand come out, and he puts it into the pensieve. And he'll kind of hold it out and say, the memory I just took out is a very new one. And he'll explain the whole scene of the engagement. And then he'll take it and he'll kind of put it back in.
Are you asking her to view it?
Oh, I could have her view it. Yeah, that's right.
So again, it can magically like expand so that you could dip your face into this pool of water with a silvery looking strand in there. So does Pasha try?
Pasha, she looks very nervous, but then she kind of very slowly, like, I imagine she does that thing of like she dips it for a second, comes back out, and then no, okay, it was fine.
Yeah, you'll dip in, and I'm just going to say that Pasha will have a front row seat. In fact, you'll have a first-person view of the entire proposal scene that I just showed you, and it's just like, something from a storybook, something from a fantasy, and within this scene, you can actually kind of feel what Alibin is feeling, and maybe, this is up to you, maybe for a moment, you're kind of pretending that you are not Albion, but you're Pasha, and that Finn is actually Athon. Maybe like for a moment you like imagine that in your head while this is happening, and then eventually the vision stops and you pull your face out of the water.
I was going to say, is Pasha in a bush again? She's just always in bushes during these romances. Don't question
if you'd like to, if that's what you want, then sure. If you want to be from a bush, you can.
In the bush again. She dips out and goes, that is so sweet. You're a lucky man.
He's beaming at this point, and then he'll just kind of smile and take the memory and put it back safely in his head. And he'll offer, obviously he can't give her the wand, but he'll give her the pensive and say, I don't know how the magic would work in your world, Thetis, he says. But if this is helpful, it's yours to have. Like I said, please be careful with it. But it's all I can really offer.
So one thing I'm going to suggest out of character is technically a mage has to be able to extract it from her wand. You do know that with the power of the hoops, you can manipulate and transfer magic from one place to another. So you can, to remind everybody who's watching, you can effectively remove magic from someone or from something and infuse magic to somebody who did not have magic before. So just throwing it out there, you have enough hoops to do that. Just
The Cune's gonna love that.
He's gonna love that.
He would need to converse with the others and use some of their hoops as well, right?
Correct. I think you need at least 6 to be able to do that, if I remember the rules. I can double check. But I mean, you have access to all the hoops.
Yeah.
So you presumably can.
No way.
I'm just throwing it out there. You don't even have to bring it up, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Can I just say that could we all get that? Because that means we could all just Avada the Magister Siderials. Can you do that?
You could also just suck out all the magic from your god over here. From Earth Emiel. You could just suck all the magic out of Leon.
The magic.
Magic.
How would she respond when he says, because he's not quite sure how the magic works there, and she seems a little hesitant to the magic. So I think that's why he maybe would have just said, kind of leave it in her hands. How would she respond when he offers at least intensive?
She'd take it, and then I think she'd look at it. I'm not entirely sure how I would use this. I can't cast. I'm not a mage. I'm a warrior, my dear. She kind of points to the shield like, nah, I hit stuff.
Well, if you don't have access or you don't think anyone back in Thetis would be able to use it, there is a chance I could potentially at least give you the ability to cast this sort of magic to remove your memories, to be able to store them in the pensive. It is, with all magic, there is a little bit of a risk, but again, it's entirely up to you. Trust your heart.
Moving forward in the wizarding world, because remember, you guys gave magic to everyone who wanted it at that moment. So the question then becomes, what if new people are born into this world? They don't necessarily have magic, which is true. So I think there's sort of like a application process, like getting your driver's license. Like, I would like to apply to have magic, and maybe like this is something that goes to the ministries of magic. They send in the application, and ultimately you 4 are the ones that actually infuse them with magic using the hoops. Maybe Albion, as a politician, is sort of like the head person of this, and at what age? Like, what is the age that you're allowed to start using magic, getting your magic license, or whatever you want to call it? Right? So again, this thing of baptizing people with magic is not unusual for you nowadays. Okay. It's just par for the course for baby wizards now coming in. Baby wizards and witches coming in. But anyway, go ahead.
If I did go through this, would I need to always be magical, or could I temporarily do this and then pass it back or something?
Well, I mean, yeah, he would say, typically once you receive it, unless there is a process to take it away, it sticks with you, but there's nothing that says you constantly have to be using it.
You haven't seen what my people do to mages. I would rather not have my mouth sewn shut, my dear.
That sounds painful, but like I said, it's your choice. I understand the predicament you're in, and I would never force it upon you, but I just want you to know the options that you have.
Is magic required for the memories to go back, or could I drink the memories back?
You need a wand.
Yeah.
So somebody needs to be magical, in which means they need to use the wand as a focus.
I think
So
you can
somebody
revisit
magical,
them without magic. You can revisit them without magic, right? Yeah.
but they're not permanently in your head unless you have somebody magically applying it to your head again with a wand.
So he would answer that.
Okay. Pasha, she kind of puts the pensive down on the desk and she says, I'd like to think about that, if you don't mind. I think I just need to think about it.
Of course. I wouldn't take any memory decision lightly, so I encourage you to think on it, but the offer stands.
Thank you. I'm afraid I never actually got your name.
Oh, right, he says. I'm Albion Mermont, and you are?
Pasha.
Pasha. That's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Then he'll just slowly skulk over. So, she alright?
She's definitely worried about some things, but I think she'll be okay. I tried to help her as best I could, but it's hard when you guys are in a different world, you know?
Yeah, well, I didn't know I was gonna fling out of a book. Kind of a new thing for me as well.
Albion just kind of laughs. I'm sure it was quite the surprise.
Yeah, I heard a little bit, I didn't catch a whole lot. Did she, broach you on the whole memory thing?
Yeah, she didn't give me a whole lot of details, but just said that, you know, she needed some help with maybe remembering some things or storing memories, and I don't know how much you are open to the idea of magic. She wasn't too open to it, but I gave her some options.
Well, considering I'm recently with a hex mage, I'm not as hostile as some other people back home.
Are you also looking to help for memories?
No, I'm good. It just I was more or less worried about her because the society she's from has a very low tolerance for the kind of things she's seen. So I know that was a big thing for her about being erased.
Yeah, I could tell she struggled a lot with that. She mentioned, you know, them not being very accepting of some of the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah, my only worry is that there's the slight chance she won't get that. See, there's two options that can happen when you go back to the Cune. And while I have features of the general species associate, obviously there are people like Pasha that go to the Cune. But the things that's happened to us is we've become chakra avatars, or we do have some magic to a little degree. But the Cune has zero tolerance for magery in any regard, so I'm worried she'd be Vidoff Bosted on the spot. And just to explain to you, they wouldn't just go for the memories, they'd pretty much make her a vegetable.
He kind of nods. He doesn't understand all the words you're throwing out, but he's piecing it together. Well, like I told her, I can't make any promises that the options I gave would work, but I could definitely tell she was hesitant. So if you're worried about her, you know, not that I really like messing with mind magic. I've had some bad experiences with myself, but if you think it's best for her that these are memories that she keeps protected, then maybe you should try to convince her to at least give this a consideration.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to talk to her when we get back. There's one other thing I wanted to quickly broach you on while I had you.
Sure.
I've noticed that you're dressed slightly higher end than everyone else. Do you do, like, political work or anything like that?
Well, begrudgingly. It's not the field I ever saw myself in, but I guess sometimes things don't go as planned. But yes, I do work for the political group. We call it the Ministry of Magic.
Okay. How is that for you?
Well, let's see. How do I put this shortly without taking up all your time? He says, I make the best of it that I can. It's not a field I really ever enjoyed, but it's a field I realize that is necessary. We need good leaders to make decisions to help, the greater good. And I never really thought highly of politicians or people that work, in various positions such as mine, but I think it was just more of not seeing the right ones in a good light and growing up by those that are a little more corrupt, perhaps a little more in it for the fame or the money or their own personal gain.
Yeah, I get that. Back home, I'm a law speaker, and just for brevity's sake, the closest word you people would have would be a lawyer.
Okay, yeah.
And, my people aren't really liked, so I'm kind of stuck in the same position like you are, where I see it necessary that I stay with this field so I can help others like me down the road. I was just wondering if you had any advice for balancing that in my personal life, because I've done a pretty awful job with it as far as my son's concerned.
He kind of laughs. Everything you're saying really hits home with him. He says, well, I can't say I've perfected it yet, he says. I think it just takes time. It takes boundaries. My fiance and I, we make it work because we really focus on what's best for us, and we set those limits. I saw my dad, who's also a politician, neglect my mom, my family, because he put so much of himself into it. And while that's important to take your job seriously, I think you've also got to worry about yourself, your loved ones, your friends. And he kind of motions to the group, assuming you guys are pretty close-knit. But yeah, it's just, it takes time. You're going to mess up. You're going to find some balance that doesn't always work, but you just got to adjust from there and remember why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind.
You have a family at home?
Yeah, I have my boy Balin. He's adopted. It's been a lot of work by myself.
Well, he's counting on you too, so, talk to him, see what he thinks. I wish my dad would have asked me when I was younger what I needed, what I wanted from him. I mean, maybe I couldn't have verbalized it at quite a young age, but it definitely caused some hostility between the two of us because he focused so much on his job.
Yeah. It's just refreshing to hear it from someone else dealing with the same thing.
Of course. How old's your son?
He's 6.
It's a good age.
Maybe if
Just
we're
think-
lucky, you can meet him at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we've traveled to some of these other worlds in the books from the library, so that would be nice. I know Toby and I are working to make sure that people like you and your son are kept safe in your worlds. We're setting some boundaries for this library so that people's lives aren't destroyed. So that would be nice if we could do that someday.
Yeah. Albion, you're a pretty good guy.
I sense the same of you, and I wish you the best. Just keep those things in mind and remember, you're going to mess up. We all do. But it's what you do with those mistakes and how you fix them that really matters in the end.
Yeah.
So we'll probably say that you're maybe, I imagine, at the bar, maybe nursing a drink, probably, maybe?
Yep,
Um,
definitely.
And Daretham would kind of head over. You actually notice he's been hiding it pretty well, but he's actually limping kind of heavily. He's still at 19 hit points, guys.
We're gonna say that as you're going up to him, there's probably a TV set in the bar, and It just so happened that the show is showing Morpheus and Me, which is a sitcom that Juan's character is in. And this might be one of
I'll
those
never
reasons,
get rid of
things
that.
where like I don't know if Juan like tells Roxanne, I told you not to show that, have that, show like showing in your bar or whatever you
But
want.
she always does.
TV's broken. Sorry.
The TV's broken. Sorry, the episode is stuck. And we're gonna say that I'm gonna say it's gonna be like the pilot episode. So it's got I forgot what Brandon's character's name was, but
Levi, right? Or Luke?
Timmy, no, Timmy.
No,
Timothy. It was Timmy.
Timmy, it's
yeah.
your mama.
And
Remember?
then it was Cosmo and Wanda.
And
Yeah.
do I see Juan as I'm going up as an actor on that show?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see Juan
yeah.
as an actor, and he's playing this character. Basically, Timmy is a muggle who has a roommate who doesn't realize that the roommate is a wizard.
Got it.
And so shenanigans ensue. But anyway, that's the pilot episode. Go ahead.
He'd approach and then kind of lean against the bar next to Juan and say, "Seems you have quite the skill at your theater, version of theater."
Oh, yeah, it was one of my first good acting jobs. They'll stick with you until the day you die.
Good memories tend to do that.
Yeah, it was not that bad actually.
I wanted to apologize.
No,
When you cast your spell at the gun, I reacted a bit.
no. I am sorry about that. I get a key in your guns.
Yeah, you mentioned.
I was in a war,
Yeah, you mentioned that.
actually. So, before you guys go back to your world, I'll get your friend his gun back.
It's been very useful.
Yeah, I get. I've read this history. It's quite useful. It's weird, isn't it? Like getting into a new world with different stuff. More for you, like.
I mean, my life has been one giant, weird, amazing, and traumatic thing all at the same time. So this is just another one on the list, frankly.
Han will give a light chuckle. I can imagine. I can't say I know too much about your kind. They're called dark spawns, right?
Yes, long story short, our blood is tainted, and if another were to ingest our blood, after only a few, out of character, it's like days, I think. After only a few days, they turn into one of us who are basically mindless slaves to beasts called archdemons.
Well,
For 1,300 years almost.
but you don't seem mindless or a slave.
We're under their control, but there's a ritual that can awaken us, recently discovered. I was awakened now a year and a half ago, I think.
Well, maybe one day the race will all be awake. That could be cool.
It was better than the idea I had for them.
What was your idea?
Oh, I was going to murder all of them.
Oh. Why is that?
Self-loathing and trauma.
Okay, yeah. I get that. But
To make a long story short, while I was under the thrall of the archdemons, I was forced to murder my parents, my wife, and my little sister. And I remembered that when I was awoken.
Han like stops playing with his drink. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
You have a real rough life as well.
Yes. The story I wrote was actually for my sister Saris. Just wrote as if she got to grow up.
Look, I can't honestly say that I get what happened to you, because I can't even begin to comprehend being transformed.
Really?
But I do know I'm dealing with my past demons as well. Maybe that's not the greatest choice of words, but I've been dealing with my own trauma, and for a long while lash out in anger or violence. I'm sorry, just saw that today. It still happens. But I've been going to...
That's alright.
I've been going to the doctor and learning maybe there are other ways to deal with things. I would honestly caution against murder of any kind
I would
at this day in my life.
Yes. It's funny, I don't entirely know how I'm still here. But I have found things to live for. There's a cure for the taint being developed. I'm the guinea pig for that. I have a girlfriend, which was the second in 1300 years. So, and I have this found family.
Sounds like life is improving bit by bit.
It is. I think it's partly time. It's partly me wanting to find a reason to keep going. And then at the end of the day, just not thinking long term. Not thinking about the memories or the future or anything. Just instead, I just look down at my feet and I just take one step forward after the other.
I won't say that that's a bad idea, because it's not. It's working, but I've learned that you can't run away from your past forever. You need to confront it and learn from it, even if you hate who you were or what you did. Or at least that's what my doctor tells me.
Yeah, I agree. I've already done a lot of confronting. I think it's less I'm running and more just accepting.
Accept. That easy, yeah?
No, it's really not. It's not at all easy. It's extremely difficult. But baby steps. you can just accept one small thing, then the next, and eventually, hopefully, you get to be marginally healthy.
That's just the way life is sometimes, huh? That's
You
how
can hope.
movies go. You know? The
Smooth.
arc. Stories.
Oh. Yeah, indeed.
You gotta deal with yourself to be able to move on.
Even said to Darren, she's my girlfriend. At the end of the day, the only thing you can do is try.
If you don't, you never know if you succeed, right?
Yeah. It's not really a failure if you fail at what you're doing. At least to me. To me, it's a failure if you don't even try.
I guess being 1,000 years old does give wisdom.
Well, I was mindless for most of those, but, yeah.
Can you drink? Want something to drink?
I don't normally, but sure. Might as well try while I'm in another world.
Juan will grab some tequila and pour 2 glasses.
And he'd take the glass and then just kind of lift up and hold it out to Clink, and then just say,
A clink.
To trying.
To trying. We're just gonna get all of them wasted and make them think the try.
I'm telling you, it's the best plan. Everybody question my plan.
why not? There's no indulge. I'll roll a con stamina.
Hell yeah.
Why not? 14. Not terrible.
You know, he hasn't really gotten a chance to check on Rosie, and since he is the healer of his group, he's curious to make sure that she's okay. So I think he sees Tyrion maybe, in a corner just kind of tending to Rosie, so he would approach.
This is probably like Tyrion had he stepped away from the conversation with Luke, and he was looking over Rosie just in case, So yeah, that's where he is right now.
All right, so he approaches and he notices Tyrion, and he'll kind of very somewhat timidly just is your friend gonna be okay?
Yes, I hope she'll be fine.
He'll look at Rosie, and what does he see in terms of ailments?
I would imagine. Probably my guess would be her. There a lot of her legs and arms are bandaged. There's from a guess, it seems there has been something goes grabbing her and pulled some broken bones, pulled ligaments.
Okay. She looks like she was in quite a fight. What happened?
It's a ogre had grabbed and tried to pull her on both sides. She broke, her bones have been broken, ligaments pulled. Nasty business.
He'll approach a little closer. He's not touching her or anything.
He's watching you.
But yeah, he's getting a closer look. Well, Aika knows what he's doing, so I'm sure she'll be fine. Whether or not he's tended to her or not, he trusts Aika. But then he'll reach into his bag and he'll pull out one of his plants called a Sorokiru. It kind of looks like a lotus flower a little bit. And he'll hand it to Tyrion. He'll say, I don't want to tend to her. She's your friend, but this may help if she has excessive blood loss. If you use the leaves on the wounds, it'll slow the blood loss at least for a bit.
I see. This is strange plant, but if you say it works, I can use it. I won't be alone on working on her. My friend Leon, he's also a naturalist, so to speak. But so me and him will be working on this. But thank you. What was your name again?
Oh, Albion. And you're Tyrion, I think.
Tyrion.
I heard someone.
Yes, Tyrion is my name.
officially extend a hand. I don't think they really got to like the pleasantries
Yeah.
with the way. So.
He'll shake your hand. There's a strong grip and there's a little bit of like tension. Like he's tensed.
After Albion shakes the hand, he's accustomed to also bowing, so he'll offer a small bow. He's gotten used to the whole handshaking because that's more typical in a lot of different cultures. But with his culture, he's also used to the bow.
Yeah, he will. Tyrion will bow back in it's very formal. It seems like it's a full bow, like 90-degree arch. His hand over his chest, and he sort of kind of bows back. I see you. I see you've been graced with courtesy.
Well, yeah, I grew up having to learn a lot of different cultures, being put in the limelight at a young age.
Oh, I see. From the looks of it, yeah, you do have that. I only know of it because of my work, former work.
What was your work?
I was a slave servant.
Oh, whenever you say that, Albion's face really kind of is taken aback a little bit. He's read Toby's book, so he kind of knows the culture a little bit that is set up in your world. But I think this is the first time he's really met someone that maybe has been forced into servitude.
Forced servitude, yeah.
So he's kind of looks for a moment.
He kind of like raises a little bit of an eyebrow, like almost like it's sort of not say not surprising, but it's like he's met a few people who like, oh, it's like okay, it's like, oh, that's yes, was former, I guess you can say. It's been a year technically, or days, whichever it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get quiet there. I've never met anyone that has been forced to work outside of their own
free world, huh?
Sounds like you guys have quite a lot of issues back in your world.
Well, many issues. We have. I mean, other than these damn magisters we're after, we've had dragons going about. We've had, which is, I don't know, for you it might sound normal. For us, it's unique. We've had conspiracies, blood magic going wild. It's dark spawn.
He kind of shakes his head. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Life here isn't always easy either. But I guess it's a little eye-opening to hear the different troubles other people have. We've all got those hurdles, but yours are quite different than ours.
Well, yes, I can see that. Though what you have at least is advancement in technology. Kind of looks at the window where there's like cars going by or people with different fashion clothes, and he's looking at their. Yes, I wonder how this world is advanced in the medical department. That would be interesting.
As well, yeah, it's something I haven't really gotten too involved in terms of Muggle. Oh, I mean non-magical healing.
Muggle,
but they've got quite a few. They've got quite a few things we don't have as magic users.
What's a Muggle?
Oh, sorry. It's a non-magical person, mundane.
Like me and some other. Well, okay, it might be me. To be honest, now with all this dragon crap, for all I know, I could be doing it. It's weird, but
yeah, I noticed. It seems like your group, where you come from, is very split on the use of magic.
Well, most people tend to fear magic. Magic gives connection to the world of demons and spirits. As far as I'm not a mage, I only know of this because of my master. He was a mage himself once, and well, my companions over there, two of them are And yeah, they're not like I imagine if we go back to the world, there are a few people who do not like magic, and there are many. If this world was full of magic, I'm imagining burning pyres or running swords and yelling "Tranquility must be back." But well, yeah,
He kind
something
of
like
shakes
that.
his head. You know, I don't think people are wrong to fear magic. It's definitely something we should be afraid of. It is powerful, but I think it's all about how we use magic. What are your thoughts on the use of magic?
Oh, I'm in my opinion, magic has its uses. It's to me, it's a double-edged sword, you can say, of sorts. As long as it can be used for good and for the right, well, yes, it is good. If a mage needs to slay darkspawn using magic, in our eyes, that's helpful. However, if he's gonna burn a town down just because of, well, rage, anger, that is wrong. But I mean, that's my view, though. I'm not a I am or excuse me, a doctor. So my morality falls under helping people who have suffered, who've gone through the pains of, well, anything: greed, monsters, unfortunate accidents.
So you also work with healing then?
Yes, I'm a natural healer. Kind. He stammers. He seems afraid when he says that.
Albion maybe notices that, and he just kind of looks like he doesn't really say much, but he kind of leans in, like wondering if there's anything Tyrion wanted to say. If so,
he sort of pauses for a bit. He says, "No, as a doctor, I am a natural healer. I know how to bandage people up, stitch their wounds, help with diseases." He smiles a bit. He chuckles. And even specific private diseases. Yes.
Albion just kind of looks like a little curious at that, but you can see his wheels turning whenever you mentioned kind of the naturopathy way, and he says, "You know, even as a magic user, it's been a while since I've used actual spell magic to heal. Kind of lean more towards the natural method. I feel like it's a lot safer."
I see. That's interesting. I mean, I've seen my friend very powerful at healing magic. He's used it all the time, but you're afraid of using normal magic to heal people? You prefer natural?
Well, you remember how we talked about the intentions of using magic? Even when those intentions are good, it doesn't always end up great, he says. You see a little bit of a sadness in his face.
Something happened.
Something happened many years ago. I had a friend who I tried to help. She was in a very bad situation, maybe similar to your friend here, and I had the best of intentions, but not the best of results. So just be careful with whatever magic you may end up using, if you ever use it. Just be careful.
I have to be, but I mean, to be honest, I'm not expecting much. Like, I do my best to do good, but things I've done, at least recently, it's coming to question, I guess.
Well, like I told your friend just a little bit ago, go with your guts. If your intentions are good, follow that.
He looks puzzled with that. It's like, no, not every time. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it just ends worse. I don't know if it's gut or emotion, but the reason I don't know if I'm called myself a doctor is because I killed a man. I killed someone in vengeance, anger, emotion.
Albion kind of, he doesn't like take a step back, but you see his body language shifts a little bit. Not that he hasn't killed anyone, but I guess it's just when you hear it for the first time, it does kind of, you question. So he looks a little curious. Well, you're right. Sometimes our gut isn't right, but I think we have to sometimes stick with our convictions. We're never going to make it right every time. But in those moments, you have to remember your why. If you killed a man and you regret that, there's nothing you can do about it now. You just have to move on and change from that.
He looks sideways a bit, sort of questioning about that. He says, I just haven't found another path yet. My old beliefs are shattered. What I've done is... I don't know what I have left other than them and what the world's going on now.
Tyrion, do you think you're a good man?
Sometimes, yes.
So hold on to that. We've all done things that we're not maybe the most proud of. We've all made mistakes, whether intentional or accidental. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's how we handle those mistakes. It's how we move forward. If you think you're a good man, I'm sure that eventually you can find penance for your mistakes.
He nods. I'm on that path. I just don't know when. Thank you, Sir Albion. And he bows.
I will bow back. He'll leave you with one last word, because you said you don't know when. I think he'll say, well, sometimes you just have to start with right now. And he kind of just looks between you and Rosie, and he says, I wish you guys well.
He nods and he smiles. Same to you in your world.